So, question here. How old is a 14-year-old? These are two boys. You see, the one on the right, he's 13.8. The one on the left, he's 14.2. They were training at the same group, the same amount of hours, same competitions. In fact, they were both they were national players, so good players at the national level in Germany. So, same training? That's a question. Should they follow the same training? What do you think?
Hardly.
Yeah, but they do. And I'm sure that you have examples here, right? And in your clubs. Did you ever think about it? You think about it now, huh? Because he's a guy who's a professor who is telling you. So I'm a physical coach first. Of course, I'm a professor and I can get the science on my side to discuss. But like a lawyer take the laws on his side when he wants to discuss something. Exactly the same. But it's logical, it's common sense. We have here two completely different under 14 boys. Two completely different. So, should we do the same? No, of course not. Now, you can ask the coach, and you can ask the physical coach, and he will say, hey, but I have 8 players, so I cannot individualize what they have to do. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. We are also in a period, if you see that this is what we call vulnerability. That means that our joints are not developed, completely developed. So they are unstable, they are weak. So if we put them under too much stress, they will suffer. And it becomes an injury, and an injury, and another injury, and another injury. So the joint is closed, but it's closed not in a good way. So when I turn 16, 17, 18, my hip is hurting, my knees are hurting, my shoulder is completely damaged already. So what do you expect? You expect to increase the volume and intensity and not having a result? Yeah, the result is you have to stop probably. So, vulnerable. So how much is too much? That's the next question. How much is too much for these kids? Because we have to set up, okay, what do I want? Do I want my kids to come to the club, play 2 hours from 6 to 8, and then bring them to another club and play 1 more hour until 9 or 10, 2 more hours, so 4 hours per day? Because I'm not really happy with the coach, you know. I think I can bring them to another coach and another group and they can play with another players. Okay, that's fair enough. But the question here is, okay, how much? How much do you want them to train? 4 hours? Did you ever train more than 4 hours a day? Alexander did, but look at him now. He's so thin, so weak. So, no, but he was a cyclist, right? And I understand that an endurance athlete has to train so much. But if I compare cycling with tennis, how is it possible that a tennis player is training the same amount of time that a cyclist? I don't understand it. The same way I don't understand why we put so much emphasis on the ranking, when you are 12, when you're 11. And then I was making the question to one coach yesterday here. You are a skiing country, right? You are famous because of skiing, of course. And I was asking him, okay, let me give you the example. When you're 11, if you ask a boy or a girl who's learning how to ski and techniques and so on, are you asking him or her about the ranking they have? Is that important? When you are like skiing, is it important? Like when you're 11, okay, what's your ranking? I have no ranking. I'm just learning. So I'm becoming a good skier. I'm becoming good. And I know that, yeah, in 2 years, I want to be like number 1 or number 2 or whatever. But what for? Under 12 World Championships. What is that? Under 12 World Championships? If you take the juniors, and there's a nice study, I don't remember exactly who did that, but there's a nice study about the juniors and those who were top 10 juniors, and they were following them, and it was around just 20% of the top 10 players, when they were juniors, they became professionals. Only 20% of them. 20% of 10? How many? 1, 2, yes, 2. 2 of the top 10 became professionals. So my question is, okay, and if I am number 245 junior, I am a good player. If you got now here like 245 junior player, do you think he's a good player? He can play good? Probably. No, if I'm in perspective of I'm the coach, player 240, oh yeah, he's a good player. So we're gonna play hard to be professionals. But if I go back to the numbers, I said maybe I should have a conversation with the parents and let them know that, hey, okay, your probabilities again is like playing poker. You can be a good player, but the probabilities are really, 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 really low. Okay, so how much is too much? Going back to the question, how much is too much? How much do you think is too much? If I make you the question, how much do you think? When is the moment? Do you have any clue about, okay, when is the moment in which I should be worried about my kids, worried about my players? Or
Isn't day by day?
you can divide it day by day, but we normally divide it by week. So because a normal routine is a weekly training. So,
Well, if it's only hitting the balls for so many hours that you showed on the following slide, perhaps 5 hours. But if you combine it
5 hours per day?
per week.
Per week?
Yeah. But if you
Do
combine
you think
it,
any player here plays, or any tennis player trains 5 hours per week?
yeah, in the age of 10, 11.
10, 11?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move forward. Okay, under 14, 13 years old. How much?
Well, you have to combine it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean overall. I'm not just saying tennis, because
Okay.
tennis is a load. It's a training load, but physical training is training load, and the school is a load. So they have a lot of things coming. So number. Did you ever think about the number, or a number, or a reference? No, right? No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault because you don't need to think about that. You're the parent. You are supposed. If I go to the dentist, I shouldn't be worried. Oh, with this guy, are you really a dentist, or are you just you put the clinic and I'm here and no, you're a dentist, right? You have an education, you have a background. You normally you have like you attend workshops and you attend new things and online education and you read, right? This is my profession, what I'm doing. I don't know about the rest, but I'm doing that. So there are numbers, and the numbers are telling us it's not only about tennis, it's different sports, but tennis included, that there is a moment, and it's from 16 hours per week on, that the risk of injury, it's 3 times higher, becomes 3 times higher. Okay, if you distribute 16 hours per week, including competitions, now give me the numbers. How much is that? I would tell you that this is the normal schedule for most of the under 14s and the under 16 players. The normal schedule. But we should go back to the numbers because I'm a scientific guy and I need to be worried about, okay, when I exceed this, what can happen is that the risk of injury increases 3 times. So, going back to the training, what should I pay attention to? Should pay attention to the aerobic development. Okay, let's go for run for 1 hour because it's so nice. Run for 1 hour. Yeah, I get so powerful. I have so much endurance. Yeah, but after 1 hour of tennis, maybe it's not so good to go for a run 1 hour more because the impacts, what was happening with the joints. So you just have to make the calculation. So we divided this in, we sat down a panel of experts in sport, coaches, and we sat down them and we asked them, okay, what do you think? We got these numbers. Now tell me, more or less, which is the average? How much your recommendations? How much? How much the player should train during the week? And so this was the conclusions we got from that couple of meetings, that the weekly volume should be around 12 to 14 hours of everything. That includes technical, tactical training, so everyday, daily training, but also including competitive situation, also including the matches. Because a match, a regular match, it takes what, 1 hour, 1 hour 10, 1 hour 15, but you have to sum this to the weekly training. Plus 6 to 8 hours, which are focused on other sports activities. Because, hey, if I analyze tennis from the external point of view, and I compare it with handball, for example, and I see the handball players, or the basketball players, or the soccer players, they have fun playing together. It's a social sport. It's a team sport. They have the feeling of being a team. And I see some of the tennis players that are on the court, like with the racket here, throwing the racket and screaming and turning crazy, and every day and every day and the next day and the next day. So when they get 16, well, okay, what should I decide? Should I study or should I continue with this nightmare? Okay, go to college. I had this situation so many times. Okay, I have, maybe if I compare my experience with Oyvind's, it's not so long, but I've been working in this sport, specifically in tennis, for the last 16 years already. So I had so many experiences with so many players, and so at the end the recommendation is, hey, you know what? Try to have fun, and then use tennis for something. So go to college, go to the States. You will have fun. You will play tennis, you will have a scholarship, and you will have fun. And you know, in my experience, in my opinion, those players, after that experience, they were happy. But they were not happy in their countries playing tennis like a typical sport. But if I ask handball players and football players, they're really happy. Oh, I have training today, good. So we should try to find, okay, what is interesting for them and not. If we specialize them when they are 11, when they are 12, again, 12 to 28, there's a long road, really long road. So it's I don't know, but you're parents. You want your kids to be like angry every day on the court, like screaming during competitions, like throwing rackets, like they don't know what to do. There are moments they are so stressed and they are so that they don't have resources because psychologically they don't have the skills, they don't have the tools to. It's like when you ask, I always to my students I always tell them the same. You know, there are like scales from 0 to 10 with which you can estimate if an exercise was easy or too hard. If I ask you as an adult, you can perfectly tell me, okay, this exercise from 0 to 10, how was that? And you will tell me, okay, 8, oof, it was pretty hard. No matter what, you will tell me. But a kid, he will think about, oh, yeah, it was hard, but I had fun. So they give you a 4. And you say, no, it's not possible. Because this was really hard, actually. If I do that, I would die. But it's a 4. How can it be possible? I don't understand. Because they are not able to differentiate what is hard and what is enjoyable. If it's hard and it's enjoyable, it's good. So that's why they play so intense. They play so intense when they play soccer, they play handball. they can stay like forever, playing, running, boom, 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 no problem. But now if you put them on the court with a ball and like basket, they will run 2 or 3 times. But the third one, it becomes hard, and it becomes not really nice. So we should try to change a little bit our systems. So this is 8 hours focus on other sport activities. So team sports, please. Let them participate in other sports, not only tennis. Not only tennis. And those coaches who are saying, no, don't play anything. Don't play anything, because if you play soccer, you get an injury. Don't you understand that they get more injuries playing tennis than soccer? They get more injured playing tennis than soccer, actually. So I would say, no, don't play tennis. Don't play tennis. Play anything else, but not tennis. I'm sorry. That's the reality. That's the numbers. The numbers are saying that. So, and then it's physical training. But okay, physical training. That's my nightmare and my fight for the last 10 years. They always tell me that I'm like a radical guy, because I tell completely the opposite than that the regular physical trainers recommend, and I recommend the opposite. Okay. Because I have my ideas, and I think we should try not to potentiate what is already done on the court, but is try to identify the weaknesses and then work on the weaknesses. So it's like if you do I always give the same example. If you do a pre-season, you know that professionals, they have a pre-season, they prepare themselves for the season. So what is exactly what they do the first day of competition? So tennis players, they go to Australia. What is that? It's a friendly match? So why you prepare a player general? Like, no, I should prepare him like really specific. You're gonna play since the first day, really hard, really specific, really intense. So I will prepare him like that. And then during the season, I will do general things. But this is another story. Okay, so it means, if you sum this, it means more than 16 hours per week already. So we have a problem and a risk of injury here already. We have it already. We have to accept it. That's one of the things we have to accept as coaches, as trainers, and as parents. That you will train more than 16 hours per week. So the risk is there. So now the next step is, okay, how can I avoid this injury risk? How can I avoid? I accept it because my kid loves tennis. He wants to be a tennis player, and I love tennis, and I want him or her to be a tennis player, or at least try. But so how can we do that? That's the next step. But let me give you some numbers. Some numbers we got from our studies, from studies in Spain and other countries. Numbers of injuries. Are the young kids get injured? Yeah, a lot. Are the tennis players, the young tennis players get injured? Yes, a lot. And a lot means that from this amount of players, 148 national players, competitive players, pretty good ranking in Spain. Age range between 11 and 19, 58 females and 90 males. Okay, there are history of injuries around. Not to explain too much, but I'm going to the specific details. 21% they show a positive impingement on the hip. Already a big issue. Impingement on the hip. 36% had decreased internal rotation. That means limitation in flexibility on the hips already. And other findings, that a lot of limitations in different tests. So mobility basically and strength. And that means that 62% of them were considered to have a hip at risk for what we call FAI. It's this symptom is an impingement on the hip. It's what they call CAM. Maybe you heard about that, the CAM. It means like the hip bones do not form normally during the growing up period. During the change from children to adults. Why? Basically, the main reason is a lot of strenuous exercise, a lot of volume, a lot of impact. So if I think about tennis, what do you think? What they are doing for the hip? When they play, what they do? I'm going to show you a picture. Recognize this? How many times they do this? Numbers. Give me numbers. I ask the same question to coaches, and you know the answer is the same as yours. The instant answer. That means click, 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 click. So nobody knows. How many? How many impacts? You know, this is an open stance. You know the stroke. That's very beautiful. I see Djokovic like really flexible, really powerful, rotating here, and I see Rafa Nadal running to the backhand like this, completely out of balance, but making a passing shot, and everyone like, oh, I want my kid to do that. So we train that. We train the open stance because it's a beautiful movement. Yeah, a beautiful movement which includes hyperextension on the hip, an isometric action, hyperextension, and rotation. How many times? 200, 300 per day, per week, 3,000? Okay, we analyze because I'm also this kind of weird guy, freakies about science and all these things. And I wanted to test everything, you know. So we tested. Okay, in under 14s, how much force it comes to your hip when you perform an open stance after just a 5 meters run. So we put some kids doing in a laboratory test sprint with a racket and then an open stance on a forced platform. They do the open stance and they run back. And they do it like 3 times in a row, not too much. And the average was more than 1,000 newtons. You know what is that? 1,000 newtons means 100 kilos, basically. So imagine that you get a hammer, like this. So your hip, is there? Okay, good. I take the hammer, and I give you 100, and 100 more, and 100 more, and 100.